Nice time to come into Footy Classified when you just had a 42-point win. You've won 8 in a row and you sit on top of the AFL ladder, and we thank Nathan Buckley for joining us. Welcome, Bucks.
Thanks, guys.
Give us a mark today. Happy, satisfied, where does it sit?
Look, I think there's plenty of games and results that people from the outside expect. Maybe sides that have performed well to achieve, but when you get the win, it's based on having to earn it, and Melbourne were very good for periods of today, and we were able to do enough to get the result.
Bucks, yes or no, has Nick Maxwell improved as a captain?
I think he's always been a fantastic leader. I think his on-field performance in the first half of the year, I think he's playing career best footy, and if that makes your leadership better, well then yes it is.
If that being the case, if he has, do you think there's an opportunity for someone else to have that role next year, or would you like to stay with Nick Maxwell? I
think it's always good to foster and develop new leadership, and we're trying to do that at the moment. And Maxie has been a very vocal, he's a bit of a follow me type leader. He's taken a step back over the last 18 months to try to create a void for others to come through, and we believe we're seeing that. But captaincy issues for the future isn't something we're looking at the moment.
Yep. Caro's got a bunch of questions for you. One from me. Coaching, you had a baptism of fire, particularly in the first month when you're criticised by everyone from Wayne Carey down under the sun. Is it what you expected, and what have you learnt the most out of in the first 3 months of your coaching career?
I think it's true what everyone, or the people that have coached say about it, is that it's so different to any other existence in a football club. It's all encompassing, it's all consuming. So no, it's nothing like I thought it would be. So you can do all the preparation in the world, but you do need time in the chair. There's going to be criticisms and even compliments that come from outside that can be misplaced. We believe that we've had an encouraging first half of the year. The coaching group have come together well. The playing group have shown their wares and the depth as well with some of our young players. So I've enjoyed sort of all of that coming together.
On that, did you get the preparation that you thought you would in those 2 years? Like, you weren't, as we understand from the outside, the senior assistant. You were doing the opposition analysis, so you weren't really hands-on. Was that something you wish you had done more of in the 2 years leading up? And has the whole period validated the decision to hold off for 2 years in your mind? Yeah,
look, I think the concept of a senior assistant, I think that exists more outside than inside a football organisation. For instance, Rob Harvey's in his first 6 months at the footy club, but the job that he's doing with the midfield group has been brilliant. Ben Hart is having an impact on our defensive group, and Matty Lappin's doing very well with the forwards. I don't have Rodney Eads doing his job particularly well. Jeff Walsh is doing his job well. So in the end, we're all part of a football program that's working at the moment, and we're making sure that we're improving to be better at season's end.
So your baptism of fire actually began well before round one. I mean, you lost a lot of good assistant coaches. The ongoing speculation all last year about what Mick was going to do. Is it right that at some point you, having stood in the background, said to the administration, we need to solve this? We need to get an answer on what's going to happen with Mick?
Mick was contracted for another 3 years and chose not to honour the contract, wanted to go out and do some media, etc. And give me space was I think one thing he said. But ultimately, we're looking forward. This is 2012. It's a whole new year for us, and we take elements of the last couple of years of Collingwood, and obviously elements of the previous decades as well, because you're the same organisation. But
did you at some point say we need to know what the structure is going to be?
Yeah, well, I think I wasn't the only one that was keen to know what that looked like. When you have two senior coaches that come out of your assistant coaching ranks, that changes the landscape as well. So I think it's folly to expect that you're going to know what your next year's structure looks like during the year before, because that's what an off-season's about.
And Eddie said during the sort of Mick outburst earlier this year, or the Mick comments that were treated by Eddie as an outburst, he won't let up on Nathan Buckley. He won't let up on him. Did you see it that way?
No, Mick's doing his job particularly well, and as I said at the time, he's entitled to make comments on Collingwood and has a fairly good understanding of what Collingwood's all about. So they're fairly educated opinions, and there's plenty of other media that are going to say things about us as well, and that's just the way it is.
The one time I've ever heard you criticise Eddie was when you were in the media. You questioned his role during the Didac Shaw affair a few years ago, that sometimes he turns up at events and makes them bigger than they need to be. Have you taken him aside at some point and suggested he probably should refrain from that while you're coach?
I think it goes president, CEO, footy manager, coach. So,
but he listens to your opinion.
I must have got that wrong.
Did you get that wrong, mate? No, look, Eddie and I are getting on famously, and you can't underestimate the impact that Eddie has around the football club. He's got a great passion for Collingwood, and he'll go hard for it to the death. And
I know you
as a
get on
coach,
famously, of course you do, but you've been low key this year. There's been a more low key element, particularly to you, but also to the whole club, I reckon. Do you agree with that? And is that something you wanted?
Having a high profile and flying high is not necessarily one of our aims.
Bucks, what surprised you most about the job to this point in time?
Probably how important that the team around you is. I think the impression is out there that the head coach is it, and that's all really. But I lean very heavily on our coaching panel. I lean very heavily on our sports science division and our medicos, and clearly the playing group and the depth and leadership within it is crucial. So, as much as the head coach is the face of the football program, there are plenty of people sort of behind that I wouldn't have thought that you had to lean on as heavily. But the job is that big that clearly you need to prioritise your time and give trust where it's warranted.
You've seen enough of the job so far. What do you reckon the next horizon of AFL coaching is? Do you see the structure changing at all?
Yeah, I may do, but after 12 or 11 games in the chair, I'm still trying to get a handle on the current horizon.
Plenty to love about what's happened this year, but the succession planning where you've introduced the younger kids. Today Sinclair Bob's up again for Solo gets put, and Didac and Tarrant you made wait and see their time out in the VFL. Is that a philosophy that you're going to continue to subscribe to? And where do you see those guys in terms of transitioning into the last year or two of their careers?
Yeah, we definitely haven't made decisions on any players at this time of year. And some of the succession planning or flushing players or youth out has come about because of injury. So is the 6 guys that have debuted this year may not have debuted in other years, given if we'd had a better injury.
Your hand was forced to some degree.
In some way, there's no doubt. Yeah.
And has it worked better than you thought, given that was the case?
No, I think there's got to be great credit go to our development department and all of the players on screen. The Kirk Ugle's a second-year player, but most of the guys were first year and have just come into the club. Derek Hines very good at selecting talent. I think Craig McRae heads up our development division and does a great job to develop this talent. And to be as a head coach, to be able to pluck these players that are first or second year and put them in a role in the seniors and have them go and execute it, that's a fairly powerful thing.
A couple more. Do you support the club's reluctance on a 5-year term for Travis Cloke or for any player?
Yeah, look, list management is part of Jeff Walsh and Derek Hines' brief. I have my opinions on long-term contracts. I think they're fraught with danger. I think there's times when you may have to consider it and look at it, and obviously considering the age profile of different players and the history of injury is a couple of those things you need to consider. But
he may walk, Travis. His dad says he'll walk if he doesn't get 5 years, and Collingwood seem adamant not going to get it. So you'll get pulled into this debate at some point, won't you? Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of focus on Trav at the moment, and there'll continue to be until he signs or he goes. But Jeff Walsh sat the players that are out of contract at the end of this year down at the beginning of the year and outlined our TPP position, the full scope of where the club was at. And we've been very encouraged by the players that have signed on. We're within a smidgen of signing steel side bottom Jared Blair and Luke Ball on top of Lockie Keefe, Heath Shaw and Scott Pendlebury earlier this year. So we're very happy with the dedication that and loyalty that our players have shown, and we're looking forward to that to continue. Are you prepared to lose him in order to hold your nerve and make a stand as a footy club on this matter?
Yeah, well, I think that's a question that we don't have to answer right now.
Last year it looked as though Collingwood had just about topped out. And now it looks like you've actually got some more left, and you've built this amazing enthusiasm and spirit amongst the group. Have you focused heavily on that, or has it just been a leadership group thing, or where's that come from?
I've got no doubt that a change of voice around the place has an impact. I had that experience as a player, so that has an immediate impact for a playing group. And when you've got a wealth of talent that currently exists at the club, and really that comes off the back of the previous regime in many ways. And as we've just detailed, you know, a guy like Garry Lyon who's able to find these diamonds in the rough, then clearly you've got some competition for spots. When you've got competition for spots, well, then you've got some real energy and effort around the way you play, because no position is guaranteed, and you add strong leadership to that, and I think that's really what our mix looks like at the moment.
We're going to let you go. We're running short of time. You've got a couple of days off heading up north, which is great. Just Alan Didak today. It's very sad. It was dramatic. It was the first kick, almost first kick of the match. What's the status right now?
Well, he's, as far as we know, he's strained his adductor, so he will go and have a scan tomorrow. Got to say, I was very disappointed with the crowd's reaction on that. It was not something that I enjoyed seeing as a coach, not something I enjoyed being a part of, but it was disappointing for us, disappointing for Dids, and we'll see where the dust settles. But he clearly has had an injury interrupted pre-season, and he's had challenges through the first half of the year. But at the club, we'd like to, we'll give him every chance to get back and prove his form going into the latter part of the year.
And as we let you go, last one, would you like to see Mick coach again?
Yeah, there's been a bit of focus on that, hasn't there? I think Mick's been fantastic in that regard. He's always seen himself as one of the brotherhood in so far as the coaching group goes, and I think he made the right comment saying that he didn't want to make comment about it, and I'm of the same belief.
Thanks for coming in. Congratulations on the way you're going, and look forward to seeing your first foray in September.
Cheers, thanks, mate.